Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Memorial Day weekend.
I know. And of course, last weekend in Chicago, it was like 85 degrees and it's a high of 48 today. And that's basically Chicago for you.
Yep. It's totally bipolar here.
I hate it. It's like every time you get excited about warm weather, Chicago's like, no, we're going to go back to winter for a few days.
Especially, I feel like it always happens on the holiday weekend when you get a 3-day weekend and like we actually get to take a break from work and do something fun. And now it's going to be freezing and be like outside in sweatshirts. But oh, well, I hope everybody out there has a wonderful and safe Memorial Day
weekend.
Yes. And thank you to everyone in our military. My dad is a vet. My brother is a vet.
My grandpa was a vet.
Yep. We got a lot of people in our family that are vets. So thank you to all of you who serve. Obviously our police officer and firefighters too.
Yeah. All of our servants. Okay. You guys are the best. We wouldn't be here without you.
Here we go. We're diving in. You always know what Friday Fire brings.
Yes.
And that's some hard truths, evaluations for you, to kind of think through. And, I just want to say we had a couple of people like reach out to us and let us know. Just the one that we did on like finding the time where you have time was, really impactful for some. I think for other people, it kind of made them evaluate like their expectations too, and so just remember as we kind of dive into these things, this is all from a place of love and helping you understand like why some of the things are going on that might be going on, and ask yourself, where could you be doing better? You know, it's not from like a place to make you feel guilty or shame or anything like that. But as you know, Becca and I, we have had coaches in our past, and some of the biggest lessons and breakthroughs that both of us have experienced have been from some of those hard lessons and those hard questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I would not be where I am today if I did not have people that really pushed me into really uncomfortable places in my life. And Liz and I have talked about this before. I think sadly, I don't know at what point this started happening, but in somewhere in our world, we started to be soft on each other. Like we just, I don't know. I maybe it was like what household situation you grew up in. My dad was always really not hard on me, but like he pushed me. He was like, if you want this, you have to work for it. My dad also owned his own business and grew his own business to a very successful business. And so I think like he understood that fight. I wanted to be good at sports. He knew what it took to be good at sports. He coached a lot of my teams, and like I had some great coaches growing up. I was fortunate to end up in environments, but I think that's also intentional too. I think that like if you're in an environment of people, and you can evaluate this, like if no one around you is pushing themselves to be better, if no one around you is pushing you to be better, well, then we would need to reevaluate our circle, which we've talked about before on other podcasts. But the reason that Liz and I wanted to talk about this today is because we talk to a lot of women, guys, like hundreds of women every week. And I will say that whenever people want change, and we come from a place of love because we know how frustrating it can be to feel like you're doing something and not see results and want to give up. And then you never even try anymore because like every time you feel like you're trying, you're not seeing anything. And so today's question is not an easy one to swallow. Like, what are you really doing differently to see results? Because I think a lot of people think that they're doing things differently, but is it consistent? And is it impactful enough? Like the main example I think of when this podcast came to mind was when we talked to people and we're like, well, what are you currently doing to try to improve your situation or try to bring results? And some of the things like, well, I eat a lot of salads, or I've been walking more, or, well, I drink a lot of water. Okay, all of these are great intentions, guys, but like, how are you measuring this? How are you measuring, evaluating, and adjusting? How is this actually really that different than what maybe you were doing? And how often and with intention are you doing it?
Yeah. And for some people, those small changes will bring change in the beginning, right?
I said totally again.
So Becca and I have this thing, and we've been saying this for a couple of weeks now. If you listen to our podcast, I say 100%. Becca says totally. And now we're catching it more and more when it was brought to our...
Because we're aware.
We're aware.
Awareness is key, guys. Awareness is key. We try to bring awareness around things. Yes. We're bringing it to ourselves today. I'm going to change the word I use.
Maybe you should start saying absolutely.
I was going to say, I'm going to start saying absolutely.
And then we're both saying absolutely. No, I was training in the gym this morning, and one of our Evolve clients was there, and she came up to me and she goes, you do say 100%, and Becca totally says totally. So we had a good laugh about that. But, so here's the thing. Okay, we've made some of these changes, and you might see change, but you might not be seeing change either, because these changes that you've made aren't big enough. There is this adaptation. And here's the thing, like, we have an entire blog on salads, because a lot of people think they go out to eat, they choose the salad that's healthier. Salads on the menu can be one of the most one of the most dense things on the menu. Sometimes you might be better off doing, a different, like a wrap or something, because of all the things they put on the salad.
You guys want a real rude awakening? Track candied nuts.
Yes.
See how many calories is in 2 tablespoons of candied pecans or candied walnuts. It is mind blowing.
Yes, it is. So, part of this that we want to talk about is like calories and macros are not everything. Okay. Because the way that your body is going to utilize nutrients that you are consuming is very, very complex. So sometimes we'll get women who are coming to us and they're eating, 1,200, 1,400, 1,600 calories. They might have been there for a while. Some of them have reversed back up to maintenance after listening to us, and they're ready to dive in. But what we look at is, how is the body actually utilizing those nutrients? Have we developed over the course of our life insulin resistance, and we're not actually getting energy into the cells to be put to use? So some of these things that we look at is, blood sugar balance, like how are we balancing out these meals? Like, are we eating enough fibers? Are we, consuming enough foods that have minerals in them as well? And I know that's something Becca wants to talk about today. And I think this is really important, because when it comes to water, a lot of people are like, well, I drink a gallon of water a day, which is fantastic, but we can actually overhydrate and dilute our sodium, our potassium, our magnesium, like the minerals in the body that are very, very important. And why we're diving into this so deeply with some of our clients is because we're seeing that they have this good nutritional intake. They're eating high quality foods, but they're not actually absorbing the nutrients from those foods because they're mineral deficient. And this goes into a few things. Like, one, our farming practices are much different today than they were many years ago. The way that, cattle and animals are raised and the quality of those meats, again, much different than they were years ago. Our soil is much different. The things that they use to grow crops, the pesticides that they spray on certain things.
They strip food of nutrients now.
Absolutely.
Like, you guys, what are a lot of people... One of the biggest things that I struggle with is a lot of people are very wary of taking like vitamins and supplements.
But they'll take fat burners.
We'll take fat burners. We'll get put on any medication our doctor tells us to. But like, I'm nervous about magnesium. I'm nervous about potassium, like calcium. Like, you guys, Liz was talking about water earlier. One of the biggest problems with hydration is if you're just drinking a bunch of water, sure, it can help with digestion. It can help with, kind of getting things into cells. But if you do not have the minerals and the nutrients in your diet to get into those cells, water can actually dilute your mineral and nutrient levels, which then drives further issues with getting things into cells and can actually drive insulin resistance itself. And so hydration's great, but like, I would honestly rather someone drink adequate water, but get in electrolytes, get in, proper nutrients, get in different types of things like potassium. Coconut water is a great source of potassium. We've talked about Hydrate on the podcast before, Element. Both of these things are purposeful electrolyte, basically supplements that help you get things into your body that we aren't getting from food because of the poor farming practices, because of how, poor nutrient levels there are in the soil. And in turn, guys, it changes what's in our vegetables and what's in our things that should be quote unquote healthy and nutrient dense. Like, the nutrient levels of these things are 50 to 75 to 90% lower than they were decades ago. And so when a lot of people are like, well, I just try to get what I can from food, I don't want to take a bunch of supplements. Sadly, you can't always get what you need from food. You need to supplement with certain things. And so that is where a lot of this comes from, is like, if calorie deficits aren't working, I have a feeling it is probably because your cells are so resistant right now, don't have adequate minerals, don't have adequate nutrients, and you've become insulin resistant, and now losing weight's basically a futile effort until you fix the blood sugar issue.
Yeah. And kind of going off of that is like, people have become so fearful of salt too.
Yes.
Right. And we need sodium and potassium. Those are two really big things. There's a book that I'm reading right now. It's called The Mineral Fix. And this doctor is talking about like upper of like 4 grams of sodium sodium and potassium. So I've been adding like black salt, pink Himalayan sea salt, cooking with those things. Some of those supplements Becca mentioned have pink Himalayan sea salt in them. But going into, further information just around potassium, like you can get foods that have potassium in them. We just often are afraid of these things. Bananas, oranges, cantaloupe, honeydew, apricots, right? Then we look in like your vegetable category, cooked spinach, cooked broccoli, potatoes, sweet potatoes, mushrooms, peas, zucchinis, pumpkins.
People are afraid of potatoes greens. Now even.
They're afraid of potatoes. Potatoes have now been demonized. Sweet potatoes have been demonized. Like all these things have been demonized because of, let's say, the carbohydrates. Well, here's a little bit of information and education for you. If you have fiber coming in with these foods, that carbohydrate is not going to spike your insulin as high if you round it out, right? Because you have fiber, you have protein, you have a little bit of healthy fats. Like we do say for blood sugar purposes, if you're going to have a banana, have some nut butter with it. You know, let's give the body a little bit of support, but by no means should we just avoid bananas because there's 27 grams of sugars in there. First of all, they're natural sugars, much different than a sugar from the candy bar that you have no problem eating or consuming, that ice cream, but God forbid we eat a banana.
Heaven forbid a banana.
So this is where, when we look at what we do with clients in health coaching, we get really passionate and fired up. And we wanted to talk today that like macros are not everything. There are so many groups that I'm a part of because I subscribe to Barbella Box. I love that box. But there's other groups that, I'm a part of. And I was telling Becca the other day, it really hurts my soul when I see people asking questions around like, my goal is to lose weight. How many calories should I be eating? And then I see all these people, which I'm so happy they found something that works for them. And they're likely very, very healthy individuals just firing away with like macros and, low calories, adding more cardio, all these things. It just bothers me because we never recommend anything to any individual until we have a very clear picture of their health, their diet history, what's going on, their stress levels, their relationship with food too, and their mindset. And that's why like it frustrates me to no end to see things like, meal plans out there that just have these ranges of, let's say you're 150 to 170 pounds. Well, then you fall into this range and this is how much you should eat. On a very surface level, okay, that might work. But what about all of the other things that we're talking about? Like, I know for me, when I did Weight Watchers years ago, I had no idea about the importance of fibers, the importance of minerals, the quality of the food. I was buying a lot of processed things because it just told me it was 3 points. So easy, cool, throw it in the cart. That's what I'm going to have. And I was probably completely wrecking my blood sugar because I was eating these
this is
processed
foods.
This
is the situation of America today. Like 75% of America is overweight. 75%, guys. And we are overweight and undernourished because of the foods that we're eating. And this is where we run into a lot of women, guys, that have tried a lot of things that haven't worked. And so if you've done what is quote unquote supposed to work and it's not working, you have to ask yourself, like, what have you really changed? Have you just been cutting calories? Have you just been, trying to walk more or exercise more or drink more water or whatever it is? We need to look deeper a lot of times. And these Facebook group comments like Liz is talking about, it's so frustrating because people make it seem simple. Like, this worked great for me, it should work for you. And then if someone does it and it doesn't work for them, they feel like they're a failure, and they feel like, well, something's wrong with me because it worked for them, it didn't work for me, so I'm broken. Why do I even try? And we just deplete our confidence levels to even want to do anything right for our bodies. And then we get into this mindset of like, well, it should work in 2 months. I should be able to lose all this weight I want in 2 months. When in reality, a lot of us guys are living in undernourished, I don't want to say sick bodies, but like bodies that are not functioning properly.
Are on the brink of becoming sick. Because if we continue down this path, not nourishing our body the right way, disease will show.
And it's already doing it. You guys, autoimmune conditions have risen exponentially in the past 10 to 20 years because of the undernourishment that we give our bodies, because of our foods being stripped of minerals and nutrients. And so we have to be intentional about this stuff. But like people in Facebook groups that are asking, I'm postpartum, or I gained weight during COVID, how do I lose it? And people just being like, Beachbody worked really well for me. Keto helped me. And, all you got to do is eat. If you're that weight, you should be eating this many calories and do, 4 to 5 days a week of exercise. Like, Bullshit. How do you know? How do you know what that person needs? How do you know what they are currently eating? How do you know how much stress they have? How do you know if a postpartum mom is even sleeping or not? Like, these are the things that are important. And when you go to evaluate your day to day, and if you think that you're doing things right and you aren't seeing results, you have to take a really hard look in the mirror and decide, what am I actually doing different? And if you cannot pinpoint like true impactful changes that, I'll be honest, you've probably had to change your life a little bit for, like you've had to change your routine, you've had to change your habits, you've gotten uncomfortable with a lot of the changes you've made. If you can't say that you've been doing a lot of those things, you probably have to reevaluate how much work you're actually putting in to see changes. Because I know we can feel like we're doing a lot, right? Well, I'm tracking my food, so it's really time consuming. I'm trying to eat 1,400 or 1,200 calories or whatever the hell it is. Like, I'm tracking my food. Why am I not losing weight? Well, what does the food balance look like? Are you doing it every single day? Are you weighing and measuring your food? Are you, tracking every single thing that you eat? Or are you picking and choosing the days that you want to track because you don't want to feel guilty about going out to eat with your family and eating 1,000 calories plus at a meal? Like, these things add up, guys, and the consistency of them matters. Consistency is the most undervalued thing out there. Like, take a calendar, decide what you feel like you need to change, track when you're consistent with it, and see how many green days you get, see how many red days you get, and decide, am I actually being that consistent? Like, it is so underestimated how much just doing a few small things consistently matters. But instead, we all dive into that. I'm just going to remove carbs, or I'm just going to slash my calories and only eat twice a day, or whatever it is. And then we get frustrated when it doesn't last and when we can't keep up with it, and then we gain weight back. And so we need to evaluate, like, how much am I actually doing? And here's the hard thing. People aren't good at evaluating that for themselves.
Yeah. It's sometimes, very eye-opening when we start tracking certain things, like even for myself, like going through different periods and protocols, and I'm like tracking and evaluating, like, how good is this, like rating things, 1 to 10 or something, 1 to 5, whatever it is. And I'm like, that's like a 2 right now. I need to change that. Okay, now I need to change this. Now I need to change this. And like, that's why I always have my own coach, because he helps me stay accountable. He calls me on my bullshit. He helps me stay consistent. And that's why we believe in the power of working with somebody who can ask you the tough questions, who can help you see like where the gaps are, right? And help you change those things in a way that is going to be, manageable for you. Because one of the biggest problems that I see personally with like the meal plans and these big like overhauls is that it's just way too much, way too fast. And somebody will do it for 30 to 60 days. But then after that, they just get exhausted and they're tired from it, and they don't understand why they're doing it in the first place. So they don't continue doing it. Well, in my opinion, we've just wasted 30 to 60 days. You
might even be less healthy now because of it. You might have taken your body to a worse place in terms of metabolic function and nutrient availability.
Well, and that's the other thing I wanted to touch on, is like a lot of times people in those groups will be posting, supplements and recommendations of like, well, you should try this, whether it's like Arbonne or there's so many of them out there. This worked for me, so it should work for you. Like the Thrive, the Optavia, all these things. Ladies and gentlemen, I forget we're podcasting because I'm always thinking about the FitMom group, but hear me when I say how many people we have had come to us to start with us who have done some of these processed meal plans or shakes or some of these pretty much garbage supplements that are on the market, wrecked digestion. Like I'm thinking about, a couple of our clients in particular, they were recommended by a friend of theirs who is selling XYZ product. This is what they should be going on. Felt completely terrible, couldn't keep food down, was getting sick to their stomach all the time, nauseous, exhausted. We removed all those supplements because we were like, hey, there's things in here that are probably causing you to feel this way, like some different natural laxatives, like there's some herbs in some of them that like should not be used unless it's under the care of a doctor. I'm like, what is going on? Like, why did we get on all of these? And as soon as we removed those things and we started replacing like whole foods and the proper supplement, we replaced 4 supplements with 1 good digestive enzyme. She can eat. She's not nauseous. She feels amazing. She's going to the bathroom every day. Like, this is concerning to me because we're always so quick to buy that supplement or buy that pill or we'll just try anything because we get to this place where we're so desperate. But again, kind of bringing this back to like what we do with our clients. We talked about this on our live a couple of nights ago. We always start with health first and looking at root causes. And if you're out there today and you're like, man, that sounds like me. Like I've been doing all these things. I've tried the calories, I've tried the macros, I've tried the supplements. Things aren't working. Like, babe, we got to get down to the root cause and help you understand like why your body is fighting you so hard, because the longer you continue on this path, the harder it's going to get, because you're just chronically stressing your body. And for a lot of people, that high level of stress for long periods of time leads them straight into adrenal fatigue, burnout, autoimmune,
bigger issues, worse situation with menopause. Like it amplifies every bad thing that could happen, and it makes it worse. And we don't want that. It makes weight gain easier. Like no one wants to deal with those things long term. And Liz and I both have dealt with pretty, crappy medical situations because we ran our bodies into the ground doing stuff like that. And that is why we are so passionate about this, and why we've kind of dedicated our life to helping women and learning more about how to help women properly that have been doing this to their bodies, because we get it. You get emotional. You want to make change fast. You want to do the things that's going to fix it as quick as possible. But until we get to the root reason of why you are feeling how you're feeling, why maybe your body isn't responding to a calorie deficit, why you aren't seeing the results that you want to see, we're never going to see things long term, which is why we actually on our live Wednesday night kind of announced this new program that we've been working on, because since Liz and I have been developing, our coaching for women, we've been figuring out like, what do they need more of? What do our clients need more of? What do they need more help with? What was going to better educate them to make this a lifestyle change and make it something that is impactful and effective forever, and not just for the time that they're working with us. And one of the biggest things that we've realized is like, there needs to be accountability consistently. There needs to be a lot of opportunities to talk face to face with us and with our coaches. There needs to be a lot of education to help people understand how their bodies function, how things are different than what social media and diet culture make it seem, and what really is important to focus on. And so we're actually launching our new program the week of June 7th. Pre-sale starts on Monday or Tuesday. We'll put the link in the show notes, but what we've created is we've created a program, a 6-month program that has multiple times during the week that you're accountable to being face-to-face with someone, talking to a coach, going over your specific individualized needs and implementations and adjustments that need to be made along the way, and also educating you on why we're asking of this, why we're telling you what we think you need, and how that's going to help you get to your goals. Because at the end of the day, is getting a fancy meal plan exciting and fun? Sure. But after a couple weeks, when you're getting sick of that food and it's not really working how you want it to, and you go to a Memorial Day barbecue or 4th of July event and you want to have some fun and totally screw it, and then you're kind of done with the meal plan after that, like how much was that really that effective? Not at all. And so what we want is we want to change people's lives. Like I want the people that we work with to feel confident that once they are done with our programs, once they are done working with us, they are equipped with the knowledge. They know their body well enough to not run it into the ground in the future, to not make the matters worse, to know how to continue to see progress for the rest of their lives and how to feel the best that they could ever feel. And that's what we want for our clients and for the women that we work with. Like, results are great. Before and afters are great. And I know that everyone wants to be one of those, but like at the end of the day, if those things never last, what's the point? We want to create those and keep them. That's what we want. We want people to feel the best they've ever felt, to be like amazed at things that they never knew that now they know, and they know how to keep this, nutritional approach that they've developed for themselves going forever, and not get tempted by these crazy diets, not feel like they're influenced by their friends. Like that's what we want for our clients. So within this program, that's what we work to do. Every week you're talking to your coach one-on-one. You're talking about different implementations, things that you need, questions that you have, concerns that you have, how to fix things, how to make changes that are realistic for you and sustainable for you. I'm just really excited about the program.
Yeah, I am too. And so this is, we've had Evolve. We've been doing Evolve for about a year and a half now, which is our 6-month signature program with Becca and I. But this is Evolve 2.0. So we basically have created an entire new platform as well of different educational modules that these people are going to be going through outside of their one-on-one individual protocols. Because as I always say to people, like, we can't teach you every single thing that we want to on those one-on-one calls, because we're diving into what's going on with you and your life. And, we know all of our clients very intimately. And so one of the things I'm really, really excited about too is we have 2 other coaches that we've brought on staff. One of them that specializes in gut health and SIBO and those things, and then mindset as well. Jen's, that's a big thing for her. But then like with Courtney, she's all about like perimenopause and postmenopause and getting these people through that season of life with all of those different hormonal changes. And so I'm just excited because what we want to do is we're building an empire of expert coaches, right? That each person has like their special thing that they focus on and that they specialize in. And so that's, what I'm really excited about. We have some other people that are going to be coming on and doing different education, some therapists to help with mindset work, to help break down some of these barriers and break through some of these beliefs that we've had for years, right? And we feel like we just can't get unstuck. And so that's really, really exciting. So it's kind of like coaching elevated, if you will. Becca and I are totally very, very involved in the program, but this is also a way for us to be able to serve more women and have that community. So as we've been doing more group calls just with our current Evolve clients, we've got a lot of really great feedback. They love knowing that they're not alone. They love seeing and hearing the struggles of other people and like how we're coaching to these things because it helps them too. So yeah, I'm really, really excited. When we say it's like a new program, this is something that, we're always looking to say like, what could we be doing better? What curriculum, what content, what education do our clients need that they can take with them for the rest of their life? And so a lot of our Evolve clients have asked us like, will I get to be part of this and all that? Yes, you will. You're going to have, your 6-month educational platform with all of like the deeper things that we've covered, plus all of this new video content that we're putting into this 6-month module. So now we've got a year of modules, which is really, really cool and very, very confident in the people who graduate Evolve. We've had so many wrapping up lately and so many great testimonials and things that they say, in terms of just, I've learned to be confident in what I'm doing. I've learned to listen to my body. I know how to adapt and adjust in different seasons. And I'm confident that I'll take this with me for the rest of my life and give it to my kids because I'm showing them a better way than, maybe I followed. So really, really excited for that. So if you want to get on the pre-registration, that is in the show notes. And then we'll also go ahead and link out some of those electrolyte supplements that we mentioned as well so that you guys can check those out. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend and we'll talk to you all on Monday.